Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. We have a great show planned for you today. You know, there are certain topics I keep hitting over and over again. Like recently, we did a show yet again about feeding dogs kibble and how horrible it is. Because there are people who are early adopters. They hear the message, they get on it. But there are people that have to hear it several times before they get on it. And we're going to be talking about your gut again today. And are you one of the 74 million Americans? And if you're listening to this show in the UK, I'm sure they have the same problem there, in Canada, wherever you are. 74 million Americans, according to the National Institutes of Health, suffer from gut problems. And these are debilitating problems. And they don't do anything about it. And they don't make the connection to their diet for whatever reason. But what's worse than that is that doctors treat them by prescribing drugs that actually have horrible side effects, quite often worse than the gut problems that you're suffering from. There are things you can do, but you got to step up and try something because nothing's going to change if you don't change. And we're going to talk about that on today's show. Before we start, I have to thank our title sponsor, and that's Legendary Foods, makers of the tasty pastry. Some of you may have seen my posts. We just got a great big box of tasty pastries, and we have a lot of people that we've given free boxes away to on the show. If you listen during the commercial break, you'll hear a secret word. Just email that secret word to onair@superhumanradio.net. Make sure you include your mailing address. We're giving away 3 or 4 boxes a day right now, thanks to Ron Penna over at Legendary Foods. But yes, the tasty pastry used to be like a Pop-Tart, but now it's even better because the new cake style is fluffy, light, and delicious. And you will feel like you're cheating, but you're not. 20 grams of protein, less than 1 gram of sugar. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary. Use the code SHR10 today. And don't forget to listen for the secret word. And now I bring my buddy on, my buddy and my guest, none other than Wade Lightheart. How you doing, Wade?
Another great day in paradise. Always a slice to get on the podcast or the radio show with you, Carl.
We have fun, don't
15 years, right? You've been doing this?
I'm in my 16th year now. Wow. I'm in the 16th year right now. Yeah, I know. You know, and I got to be honest with you. I haven't talked about this, but I'm starting to get frustrated because people still don't get it. If you don't have discipline, if you don't have proper sleep, if you don't have a good functioning gut, if you don't have the diet that's right for you, if you don't train, specifically resistance train, if you don't stay active, I don't care what supplement you take. Mm-hmm. That's the fact. And I jokingly posted on Facebook today, what peptide helps if you have no discipline? It was a joke. There is no peptide that helps if you have no discipline. You have to develop discipline. Nothing works if you don't put some effort forth. Nothing works if you don't start doing things differently than you've been doing. And just like this show we're going to do today about the gut, there are so many people out there who have gut problems. What do they do about it? Complain and live with it and don't try anything. They try nothing. Or worse, they go to the doctor and the doctor tells them they need a proton pump inhibitor or this and that. And those lead to dementia, heart failure, nutrient deficiencies, and all sorts of other horrible side effects. People, I'm so frustrated with people's lack of action. Lack of action. What do you think? I mean, you've been in this game a long time. Am I wrong?
Yeah. Well, there's an interesting, because I know that you're into biology, and I think people have to understand what's the mechanism here. And if you look, the biology of humans, as all animal species, develop an efficiency patterning. That's why you train and exercise or learn a skill through repetition. You increase the connections so that you can make more efficient movements and use less energy. And so that fundamental part of human biology, or all living organisms, is to preserve energy inside the system. And that has led ultimately to the evolution of civilization up to this point. But what's interesting is that need to preserve energy has now been married to an extraordinary rapid development of technological innovations, whether it's farming, whether it's driving in cars, flying in planes, getting your food delivered, all these sort of things that we take as the modern conveniences of the world, which save energy. But the change has been so rapid, we have not adapted as a species to these technological innovations. And our desire for ease and efficiency is now what's killing us. It's killing us because we've learned to seek out the easy, fast, super road. So you know what? Rather than, fixing my diet or going to get some, an expert to do my genetics or epigenetics or a GI map or whatever, I go to I defer my power, my ability to take action, and I go to some authority, quote unquote, registered authority, who's been educated by the pharmaceutical empire, and that's what it is. And I walk into this person's office, I get 5 minutes if I'm lucky, because that guy's buried in a bunch of red tape and stuff, and he's up to his eyebrows in debt with millions of dollars. He's got to turn and burn as fast as he can. Some sales rep educates him and says, oh yeah, these proton pumps for your stomach, no problem. Oh, you got a bacteria infection? Let's just give you antibiotics. You know what? And when that's done, we're just going to take you in and we'll just cut a piece of your colon out if that's not working. Oh, and if that's run, we'll just bring you in and rebuild the heart or whatever we need to do. Like, you cannot get a proper diagnosis for 5 minutes. You cannot turn your life over to someone else for 5 minutes and he hands you the equivalent of the Jack and the Beanstalk magic bean. Well, what happened when Jack took the magic bean? He ended up getting his ass kicked by the giant.
Right,
Okay?
right.
And that giant in North America today, in my opinion, and the evidence is showing this, is digestive dysfunction, because 13% of the emergency hospital visits right now are gastrointestinal issues. That means you're going to the hospital in an emergency situation, life-threatening situation. But what about diabetes? What about heart disease, right? What about cancer? How many of those things are associated with our diet? How many diseases are associated with inactivity? The Surgeon General in the United States said that 90% of the illnesses that people suffer are lifestyle related. 90%. And Hippocrates,
Stuff you're doing to yourself.
Hippocrates said 2,000 years ago, hey, all disease begins in the gut.
In fact, the term hypochondriac
Yes.
came from Hippocrates, because he said these people, they have these symptoms, but we can't point to an organ or an injury, but it's this ominous group of symptoms that they have. And hypo means below, and chondria is ribs. And it means below the ribs. It was the gut. It was what was going on down here. Unfortunately, the word hypochondriac has come to mean someone who doesn't have anything wrong with them, but they think they do.
Right.
Because those people didn't have a single frank observable injury or disorder that was, oh, it's your kidney, it's your liver. No, they had this group of problems that was coming from their gut.
Exactly. And here today, in the last 100 years, we have so radically altered the food production and distribution, the additives, the preservatives, the pesticides, the chemicals, the removal of enzymes and probiotics that we would naturally get from consuming the food that we ate, the packaging, the delivery, the PASIC, then a massive array of chemicals that we use to clean and disinfect our houses, and the stuff we put on our lawns, and the crazy stuff we put in our building houses. And then we throw some EMF pollution on top of that. And then we turn on the television to put ourselves in a state of constant stress and shine blue lights into our eyes to show circadian rhythms. And we wonder why people are not feeling good.
Really? I mean, really, when you think about it, it's like it really, we have become that movie Idiocracy. We really have.
Yeah, we're here.
People aren't even paying attention to what they're doing. But they see the symptoms. Why do I feel like this? Well, maybe it's the Bang energy drink you had right before bed. You know, like,
yeah. Why can't I sleep?
Liquid stress. I'm going to have a can of liquid stress. And then I wonder why I don't feel good. So let me throw some numbers around. Since you would, so 74 million people in America claim right now, according to the NIH, to have digestive issues of some sort. 63 million of them claim to have chronic constipation. Why is this important? Because chronic constipation was identified in a study about 5 or 6 years ago to be the earliest sign of the coming of Parkinson's disease. Now, does all constipation mean you've got Parkinson's? Of course not. But if you have chronic constipation and a study comes out that says, wow, chronic constipation may be the earliest sign of Parkinson's, then at least we can deduce, if you're still a critical thinker and you still deduce, you have deductive reasoning capabilities, you would say, wow, if I have chronic constipation, maybe I have a high risk of Parkinson's disease. And if I do, maybe it's coming from my stomach. They know that now. They know that Parkinson's starts in the gut. There's other studies that show that. Those same tau proteins that accumulate in the brain, they find them in the gut of people who end up with Parkinson's disease. Now, there's people going to say, well, it's ending up in the gut because they're making too much of it. Yeah, but the gut is like, it's the canary in the mine. It's the canary in the mine. It tells you first.
Absolutely. And the thing is we've learned to take our intuitive observations about our physicality and not pay attention to them anymore and defer to an authority, an outside authority, as opposed to, and I think one of the great advantages of exercising and following a good dietary practice, is that you begin to become reacquainted with your physicality. You can feel your muscles.
You know what it feels like to feel good.
You know when you feel good, when you feel bad, and you see that you are able to impact. Like the biggest discovery of my life was when I was 15 years old. I was in a situation where I had no control in my life. I was in a very frustrating situation with my family, my parents, the place that I live, my education. I was a frustrated young guy, and I had no control in my life. And what did I do? I discovered weight training, and out in my barn in the middle of the cold in the Canadian winter, and some Arnold Schwarzenegger books, I started to see that I could take actions, and I could change how I looked. I could change my ability to lift objects. I was able to change me, which had an impact on my environment. And as that built progressively, I developed a pattern that, I can do things to change what's going on in my body. And I don't need all these other people.
Right.
But I got to put in the work. And the more work I put in, the better the results and the better I feel and the what like. And that doesn't mean you're going to get it all right, but we've got to take back our own personal autonomy and power and recognize that one thing that people have to consider, and this is especially what's going on in the world, the third leading cause of death in this society is medical error.
808, this is according to the CDC, 880,000 people a year die from medical error or taking prescriptions the way they are prescribed.
Correct.
800, almost 1 million people. Now, we just went through a pandemic. Oh, we're losing 1,000 people a week. 800, almost 1 million people a year die because of big pharma and big medicine.
Correct.
And then we're not talking about people who were dying of cancer. They went in and they died in the hospital. We're talking about people that should not have died, but there was a problem, a mistake, the wrong drug, or they took their drugs the way they were prescribed, but the doctor didn't realize they were taking this other drug, and when they were taken together, they died. This almost 1 million people a year. Crickets. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah, and to think about, would you go to an authority? Like, you're going to use that as your go-to person, which, by the way, the medical authorities, and I'm not there to throw them under the bus, but the reality is they don't have any training in diet or care of life or whatever, and they're legally not allowed to make commentary on many of the things that we talk about on this show, just like we're not allowed to make commentary about their suggestions or prescriptions. Right? We have to say suggestions. We can't say recommendations, all these sort of things, or we get, and we're in a position of censorship as well. We've been in the health industry. We've been censored for decades, and we are attacked viciously through many of the commercially available information components. And the reality is we're having to do this dance all the time. Like, we produce products that have US patents that are so strong and so effective. I'm not allowed to say what the US patent says online, or I get removed, even though it's a US patent that says it does this and does this and does this and does this.
Right.
Proven.
Yeah.
I can't say it.
I know.
I can send people to the link where the patent is, but I can't actually say
there
that.
are patents that show that our alpha lipoic acid is effective at reversing type 2 diabetes. BASF did all the work, but when they found out they couldn't patent the actual drug, then there was no pharma drug in it. It was just a natural supplement. They abandoned it. But if you sell our ALA and say this is good for you to take if you have type 2 diabetes, they'll send you a cease and desist, even though there are myriads of research papers that show. AG says, Carl, did YouTube ban a couple of your recent shows? They banned one recent show, the show I did with Dr. Linda Salvin about to vaccinate or not to vaccinate, and nothing in that show that we discussed is not supported by scientific papers in the public domain. But YouTube told me that I violated their medical misinformation policies, which really means they have an agenda. They're carrying water for the pro-vaccine, big pharma people, and they do not want anyone to talk about anything other than vaccines. Oh, they're good. Get your vaccine. Roll up your sleeve. Get your vaccine. So we actually laid out the pros and the cons. I didn't say don't get the vaccine. I says, I think if I was in my 70s and I was unhealthy, I had type 2 diabetes and other comorbidities, I'd probably get the vaccine, but I'm not unhealthy. I'm strong. I'm robust. And if I get the virus, chances are really well, like I'll be back to work in a couple days. So why would I get the vaccine for something I can beat? That's all I said. But that you're not allowed to say that. And they took me down on YouTube on that particular show. Yes.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I always say this too, life is risky business. Nobody gets out alive. Right. And we act like we're all going to live forever. And I think the fear and propaganda about that is being manipulated in the control of the narrative is probably the biggest determinant towards people's accommodation of things that don't make logical sense. And now we're seeing, when we're not allowed to discuss things openly or challenge official narratives, we don't have a free country. That's why free speech is the first aspect of a free country. And right now, the United States and the listeners around the world, and this is going worldwide, the citizens of the world, in my opinion, are under a very dark attack against humanity itself. And the question is, it's not how much, if we're going to die, I believe it is how we are going to live. And I think the quiet desperation that has emerged en masse and the conformity to that is a bigger threat than any virus and any medical authority, than any foreign adversary, is when we shut down our ability to think and our ability to take action towards the course that we see right. Hey, you know what? I'm not out there advocating you go out and do violence or do these sort of things or whatever. I'm always talking about, but I do believe in personal autonomy, that me and my family should be able to do whatever I feel is right, provided it's not harming. But what's interesting is now we're in a case where the people who are taking action, like your listeners on this show, who are actively engaging in the education of how to, live robustly, live healthy, be a superhuman, move the bar forward and learn these new things which you provide. We're seen as the outlaws. And I believe the next phase is going to be, we're going to be seen as the problems. And I was on Facebook the other day, and you know what came up? An ad for FEMA camps. Hiring.
No kidding.
FEMA camps hiring. Now, if people look historically to World War II, okay, and many of these pharmaceutical companies came out of Nazi Germany. That's their etymology. You go back historically, that's where they came from, and that was the biggest genocidal experiment. And you know how they start, but a lot of people don't know. They don't read history. They started identifying the Jewish population as infected with the disease. And that's how people just went along and said, oh yeah, just let them take the trains to the camp. And it's happening all over again, and people aren't paying attention.
Yeah, I've heard this too about the FEMA camps. And we know that there was discussion during this last presidential campaign about those of us who didn't appear to agree with them, that we would have to go to retraining camps.
Correct. Which is going on in China right now, with millions of people in prison camps, very much like World War II, and everybody's just turning.
Your opinion, but the problem we have in America is there are so many people out there going, but that'll never happen in America.
It's happening.
There's a lot of German people that never thought what happened in Germany was actually going to happen. They just thought it was this crazy guy and these crazy people, but Germans will never let that happen. The only way this doesn't happen is if we start to talk more about it.
Correct.
They can't censor everyone. They can't. But they do make it hard for us to talk about it because they control the platforms for dissemination of information. And hopefully that will change. So there's one other statistics I want to connect for this discussion now. According to the National Institutes of Health, autoimmune disorders are compiled of about 80 different disease states, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, lupus. I mean, I can go through the list, but we've talked about them on the show. And right now in the United States alone, there are over 32 million people who have been diagnosed with autoimmune disorders. Now, there's a lot of people out there with horrible symptoms that they're living with, but they just haven't gone to a doctor and been diagnosed. So when you look at this number, I just want to keep this, the reason I'm doing this, 74 million people at any given time complain they have gut issues. I've talked about on this show for over a decade that when we talk about the gut, we're really talking about the immune system, because that's where the immune system resides. And when we talk about inflammation, we're talking about the army of the immune system that is deployed to get rid of bad actors in the body,
right,
and repair tissue. So 74 million people at any given time in the United States complain that they have gut issues. Then we talked about chronic constipation. I forget what that number was. Do I still have it here? Let me see. Hold on. So by the same token, 63 million people suffer from chronic constipation.
Crazy.
And 32 million people have been diagnosed with autoimmunity. These are big numbers, but these big numbers beget big numbers. 74, 63, 32. So again, by using deductive reasoning, we know that the immune system resides in the stomach, and we know that autoimmunity is when the body's immune system starts to attack its own tissue. And we know that 32 million people at any given time in the United States have been diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. So my point is this, and we're going to talk about a product today. I don't care if you buy this product. I don't care if you buy a dozen different products, but if you have a gut issue, it should be of paramount importance for you to start searching for answers. That could be a combination of things, combination of introducing a new supplement, starting a very, very narrowly designed diet or elimination diet. And I don't care if it's vegan. I don't care if it's carnivore. I don't care if all you can do is eat eggs. Do something. Get all of the stuff out of your diet and see if your symptoms start to subside. And if they are, then slowly add things in. Now, people don't want to do this. This is where the pharmaceutical industry wins, because it took you 15 years to do the crap you did to your body for the symptoms to show up. And you walk into a doctor's office and you're like, fix me now. This is uncomfortable. I want to be fixed now. It may take you a couple years of being on the right track to reverse it, but your life will be longer. If you let them fix you with their pharmaceutical drugs, your life isn't going to be longer or better.
Well, if you look at the New England Journal of Medicine, it says we do not cure diseases. We treat the symptoms of disease. That's under the New England Journal of Medicine. We do not provide cures. And I think a lot of people are not comprehending the role of a medical doctor. The role of the medical doctor is to keep you alive based on the choices that you've made in your life.
Right.
That's their job. And they do a great job at that.
We got to say that again. The doctor doesn't think you can change because you're too stupid.
Correct.
So he's going to give you drugs that will just mask the events caused by your stupidity. This is the same thing as the government. The government thinks we are too stupid to think for ourselves. So big government has to be our nanny and tell us what to do and what. But that's brilliant. Doctors treat you based on the assumption that you are too stupid to make decisions and change. So we have to give you a drug.
Correct.
Brilliant.
And that's the piece that people don't understand. They think it's health care. It's symptom care. It's symptom care. Or it is an acute intervention because the system, you're going to die. So we need to do bypass surgery. We need to give you insulin shots. We need to cut a piece of your body out because it's cancerous, or we need to and albeit that is great science, and there's a lot of amazing things, and we all know and have family members, and many of us have survived because of these interventions,
right?
That can preserve and save life. But if you're not addressing the underlying cause, it's like driving a car with no oil in it, and and instead of putting oil in the car, you just change the engine every time it overheats. Well, sooner or later, you get stranded on the highway where there's no mechanic. And guess what? You're done. And if you're stranded on the highway of health, you're dead.
Right.
You don't get to come back home that day. You don't get to see your family that day. You don't get to see the doctor that day either, the mechanic for your bike. You're done. It's over. Curtains. And it's curtains not by anybody else's fault, but by our own ignorance in the matter. And the reality is the unintended consequences of technological innovation have now made humans the #1 threat to their own survival. It's super ironic.
It's true. It's so true. And that's why people talk about population control. Just let people do what they're doing. We won't be here 1,000 years from now. We'll be gone on our own accord.
Yeah, and the reality is we're actually, if you look at the true statistical data, we're actually headed towards population collapse. We're going to
Oh, I
peak
know.
somewhere between 9 and 10 billion,
I know.
and we're going to have population. And who's going to take care of all the older people in life who are dependent on government pensions when you only have a quarter of the people working that were providing the pensions for the older people 30, 40 years ago? It doesn't work.
You know what you just made me realize? Civilization is a Ponzi scheme. If we don't have
Yes.
people coming in, we have nobody to help the old people go out. I mean, it really is. That's what that's what Social Security is, right? We're running out of Social Security, they say, because we don't have enough people paying into Social Security to carry the weight of the people on the back end. That's a Ponzi scheme. Civilization is a Ponzi scheme. We depend on newborn people of competency and quality.
Yes.
Of competency and quality. We have to take a break, but before we do that, if you are interested in trying something that has worked for a lot of people in my audience, and I understand the science, but more importantly, I get feedback from people about how good this product is. And the product is actually called Leaky Gut Guardian. Why Leaky Gut Guardian? Because those autoimmune disorders and lots of the nasty side effects of having gut problems is that the gut is not staying contained, and the stuff that you should be digesting and pooping out is making its way into your bloodstream. So, like the proverbial cartoon with the cat and the mouse, before you start bailing water, you must plug the hole. If you don't plug the hole, what you do is not going to have any long-term effect. In order to plug the hole of the gut, you have to rebuild the mucosal barrier and all of the components that produce isolation of the gut from the rest of the body. And you can do that by using Leaky Gut Guardian. If you go to shrnetwork.biz/leakygut and use the code SHR10, you'll save 10% off. When we come back, we're going to talk about one of the ingredients in Leaky Gut Guardian that is an amazing ingredient that you will not find, I bet, in anything else out there. You're listening to and watching Superhuman Radio. Post your questions on Facebook and YouTube. We'll be right back with more. You've heard us talk about the power of copper peptides here on the show. Now try it yourself with RestoraCell's amazing new skincare line built on the power of blue copper peptides. All natural, organic, made in the USA, and safe for sensitive skin. Save 30% on their Stem Cell Awakening Serum. Go to shrnetwork.biz/RestoraCell. That's RestoraCell and use code SHR to save 30% off. Remodel your skin today.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Survivor. As a listener of this show, you know how important your gut is to your overall health. Bioptimizers has a potent product to heal and repair your gut unlike anything else. It's called Leaky Gut Guardian. It's powered by patented IGY Max, an egg-based protein that enhances gut health, reverses antibiotic damage, and strengthens your immune system. Available in 2 delicious powders, vegetarian vanilla and chocolate carnivore. Simply mix it with your favorite beverage. Repair your gut and power up your immune system risk-free and save 10% off. Go to shrnetwork.biz/leaky gut. Don't delay. Fix your gut today. The power of light can be truly life-changing and an important element for every superhuman. Because of this, I want you to experience the power of award-winning Saluma light therapy. Saluma utilizes NASA research technology to improve health at the cellular level and is cleared by the FDA to effectively treat a variety of pain, muscle, and joint conditions, as well as facial wrinkles and acne. Our entire team here at Superhuman Radio uses it. Its innovative shape-taking design allows for easy easy placement anywhere on the body. Choose from 13 different models. For an exclusive listener discount, go to shrnetwork.biz/Celuma. That's CELLUMA. And use code SHR10 to save 10% off of one of these award-winning devices. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High-quality, pasture-raised, great-tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose-to-tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/White Oak and use code SHR20 to save 20% off your entire first order.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. We're ripped and we're ready.
Welcome back. Oh. Now welcome back. We're talking with Wade Lightheart today. And he is the proprietor of Bioptimizers, the purveyors of some of the greatest supplements in the world, specifically designed to help people with gut problems. I use their Masszymes 3, 4, 5 times a day. I use the HCL product with that Masszymes 3, 4, 5 times a day. I mean, these. I can't live now without these products. I can tell you that recently I did a Vanquish where I stopped taking everything for a while. You know, not a predetermined period of time, weeks, just to kind of give my body a break. The only thing I continue to take is my testosterone, and that's it. And I started having gas. Elisa would say to me, God, you were farting last night when you were asleep. And, you know, I mean, these are things that happen with partners. You lay in bed next to each other in the middle of the night. You know, you're not awake. You don't know what's going on. And I thought, why am I so gassy? And then I was like, oh, wait, I haven't been using my Masszymes because I've stopped using everything for a period of time. And as soon as I started using the Masszymes, I noticed the gassiness got better the next day and better. And now I'm not gassy at all. So I know that works. Now, I probably take more than the average person does. You know, I take 4 to 6 with a meal, but I average 70 to 100 grams of protein a meal. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I need a little bit more than the average person. So let's talk about the Leaky Gut Guardian for a second. This is an innovative product that has things in it that I haven't seen in any other digestive/gut issue product. Let's start off with the IGY Max. Talk about that.
Well, IGY Max is an extract that comes out of egg yolks. And a lot of people don't realize is that has a very, very strong historical aspect about healing digestive system. Maybe you heard of the old bodybuilders, like on the Vince Garanda programs that were using raw egg yolks. And you just maybe saw the Rocky movies. And you're like, are they just doing that for effect? But there was some science behind it. Now, the problem with raw egg yolks is that you can get a lot of salmonella issues and things like that. Right. It's probably not safe, especially.
And I know, because I eat raw eggs, and I know a lot of people who try to do it, and they end up with a toxic bowel movement. Exactly. Like the first couple times you eat raw eggs, man, just don't have anybody around the bathroom for a while. That's it. Correct.
And so we have a research facility in Europe. It's run by PhDs in microbiome. Okay, so we're one of the supplement companies that actually invest in real smart people to do research to see that things actually work. And one of the studies that came out, what is it that within these egg things, this immunoglobulin called IgY, what does it do? Well, how did they describe that? And basically what it is zonulin. People haven't heard that word. This is not some foreign invader on the next Star Trek Expo, but it could certainly sounds like it. But zonulin is something that shows up when there is an excess of intestinal permeability. In other words, when you have leaky gut, that's how they track that. And they go, oh, we know that you've got leaky gut. And that means you've got crap floating into your blood. You know that guy that you said that, hey, he's got crap for brains? Yeah. That's actually true. So here's the thing. IGY IgY max is the immunoglobulin out of eggs that repairs the tissue. That's what it does. It fixes it. It drops zonulin by about almost 300%, 290% decline. Now, there's a couple of things with this. IgY max on its own is not as effective as if you use bacteria. And if those who have listened to our 5 stages of digestion episodes or any of these other things, you have to realize is there's only 2 things that do work in your body: enzymes and probiotics. They're the workers. They're the crew that puts your house together, that cleans the streets, that takes out the trash, that hooks up the electricity. That's what these things do. And there are specific strains in your gut, specifically Lactobacillus rhamnosus is one of that, Lactobacillus gasseri, Lactobacillus helveticus, which work with the IgY max. IgY max is like the building materials for your intestinal wall. And the bacteria are like the workers that patch up the holes in the wall. Like, right, if you have a hole in your roof, you need workers to do this. And so IgY max is a patented product that does the patchwork. It's the stuff that you actually patch the roof with, and these are the bacteria strains that do it. And we tested this. We tested different types of bacteria and how effective IgY max would be in amplifying the effect of repairing leaky gut. And that's where we came up with Leaky Gut Guardian, and it's been an absolute hit. There's so many people that have suffered for years. They take it, super tasty. You just take every morning I get up, I just take there's a little scoop inside it. I put it in my mouth. It tastes like vanilla frosting cake, and no leaky gut, no gas, no bloating after you eat, right? And when people do this for a month, right? I always say, try our product for a month. You get a money back guarantee anyways, right? If it doesn't fix whatever you think it is, no problem. We just give you your money back, right? We're that confident. And if it didn't, well, hey, you get your money back. But when people try this, there's so many people whose bathroom experiences goes from something that they're nervous about or feel uncomfortable about to something that they're happy about. And what's interesting about when you get your gut in good shape, the level of positivity that you tend to have in life and your ability to take action against forces of darkness and negativity that we're all being subjected to, especially us in the health industry, changes. And so stinking thinking comes from your gut. And so IgY max, it's been proven by a variety of different experts around the world to repair this. And so I'm just delighted that we were able to put it together into one formula that's easy to use for people, because we're on a mission to end physical suffering. If we can end it, we can do it. And we're here to do that, and we're doing a great job of it, and it's really awesome. It's really that simple. I mean, I can go into all the research and the science, and we can talk about the Frontier Journal of Microbiology, and we can look at the NIH, and all that stuff is wonderful and exciting and gives us a lot of like dopamine effects that, oh, I learned something. But none of that matters. You know what matters is you can put this stuff in your mouth, it goes in your gut, and whether it works or not. So we started the show with taking action.
Right.
We've made it so easy for people to take action. We've been a trusted brand in your show. We've been around for a long, long time. Right. And there's a reason why the world's best experts trust.
And I get emails from people asking me questions, and then they always make a point to tell me which products they use. They ask me a question, and they realize I'm going to take time out of my day to answer their question. So they feel compelled to say, by the way, I buy this, I use that. And they always tell me they use one of the Bioptimizer's products and they love it, whether it's the Masszymes, whether it's the P3OM, and so I know that my audience loves and trusts the brand, as do I. And the other thing I want to mention is, if you have an autoimmune disorder, if you've been told you've been diagnosed with lupus, with fibromyalgia, with rheumatoid arthritis, the truth is even osteoarthritis has now been identified as immune related. People always thought, well, I'm too heavy. My doctor says I have to lose weight. That's why my knees hurt. Baloney, because obese people have deterioration in the neck, the spine, the cervical spine, in their hands. There's no weight bearing going on here. Osteoarthritis is not a mechanical disorder. It is actually just a slower version of rheumatoid arthritis. That's exactly what it was. Study was produced 3 or 4 years ago. We talked about it on the show. So if you have been told that you have arthritis, then you need to start thinking about autoimmunity. You need to start thinking about your immune system. And here's a product that will, it's like you have a pool, and every month you're putting 700 gallons in the pool. Like, I don't understand. Where's this water going? So you call the pool guy and you go, I think I got a leak because every month I'm putting 700 gallons, and he comes out and he finds the leak and he patches it. And guess what? You fill the pool up once and maybe you top it off every 3 months. That's what's going on in your gut. If you have an autoimmune disorder, you have some leaks in your gut. The stuff in your stomach is getting into your bloodstream, and your immune system goes, oh, wait a minute, those don't belong here. And by the way, it just happens to look like thyroid tissue. So while your immune system is destroying that, it starts destroying your thyroid or your chondrocytes in your joints. Patch the hole. Patch the hole. Before you do anything, before you take any drugs for your rheumatoid arthritis, patch the friggin' hole. Here's how you do it. Leaky Gut Guardian. This is it.
And I'd like to bring up a couple things. And this is coming from Dr. Leo Galland from the Foundation for Integrated Medicine. And he's like, okay, well, how do we identify, do I have leaky gut? And up here it says, are you one of the 74 million? Well, how do I determine that if I'm listening to this podcast, this radio show? Well, do I have that? Am I really one of those 74 million, or is Wade and Carl selling us a load, right? Here's some good checks. If you have chronic diarrhea, constipation, gas, or bloating. If you have nutritional deficiencies, you do a SpectraCell test, see if you've got any deficiencies. If you have an immune system, you're catching everything. You're terrified to go out of your house, right? Headaches, brain fog, memory loss, excessive fatigue, like you just don't have the energy to do the things that you want to do, play with your grandkids, play with the kids, maybe take the extra action, stay up a little bit later and do the study of the thing that you wanted. Skin rashes.
Yes, that's a big one.
Eczema, rosacea.
Yes.
Right?
People who have I see people, they have this almost red, shiny skin on their face. That's from your gut.
Yes.
That's from your gut.
Cravings for sugar and carbs because you've got bad bacteria running wild, taking over your nervous system. Arthritis and joint pain, depression, anxiety, ADD, ADHD, autoimmune diseases, which you recommend, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, celiac disease, or Crohn's, all are related to a long-standing leaky gut issue, which as the crap starts to leak into your system, your immune system response is like, oh, we got foreign invaders. And as you talk, they cause the swelling, they cause the inflammation, they cause this thing because there's a war going on in your gut. There's a war going on in your system. And if you don't take that over, what happens in a war? It spills over into the next place. It spills over into the next place. And then
and what happens in a war? There's collateral damages. There's buildings destroyed. There's infrastructure destroyed. So your body is suffering collateral damage because your body is at war with these bad actors.
Correct. And so what happens is the thing that is designed to protect you now is destroying you because it cannot manage the incoming tide of toxins from the dietary and lifestyle habits, which are common amongst everybody in the industrialized nations of the world. So it's not people's fault that they don't understand the last 80 years of dietary history, but it is your fault if you don't take personal action and accountability to address it. And leaky gut is just a tool to help patch the hole as you start making and following the suggestions and recommendations that you advocate on this show on a day-to-day week basis. And, it's like going to church, right? You got to sing the hymns and hear the preacher every week Otherwise, you're just down. You're off the track again, right? So we're in a psychological sea of disinformation that you need to be continuously reminded of what you need to do to bolster you against the insanity that is being propagated in our society by governments, by institutions, by the recommended authorities out there in the world. And Carl, and I know this is why I love being on your show, because you're probably the longest standing advocate for critical thinking and taking personal initiative to correct the challenges of your life, whatever the source or recommendation or who it is. And you're doing a great job. That's why I love being here, because we can talk in a way that we can't talk on other shows. I'm not here just to pitch a product. Yes, I got a product. Yes, it's great. It's wonderful. And I hope people will try it. But there's a bigger conversation here that we've got.
90% of today's discussion has not been about the product. 90% of and I want to take our last commercial break. We have a couple questions I want to get to. But I do want to let people know, once again, if you're interested in taking a step and giving a try and seeing what happens, this product is deserving of your investigation and your dollars. It's called Leaky Gut Guardian. If you go to shrnetwork.biz/leaky gut and use the code SHR10, you'll save 10% off. And if it works for you, they have some fantastic bulk buy opportunities as well, as they always do at Bioptimizers. People know that Bioptimizers gives those who want product great deals. So you can buy 3 months, 6 months, and so on all their products and save big time, like a lot of money. Again, shrnetwork.biz/leaky gut. Use the code SHR10. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have some questions. And I want to reiterate what I think is the most salient and important topic that we mentioned on today's show. So if you missed it earlier, stick around. We'll be right back. As a listener of this show, you know how important your gut is to your overall health. Bioptimizers has a potent product to heal and repair your gut unlike anything else. It's called Leaky Gut Guardian. It's powered by patented IGY Max, an egg-based protein that enhances gut health, reverses antibiotic damage, and strengthens your immune system. Available in 2 delicious powders, vegetarian vanilla and chocolate carnivore. Simply mix it with your favorite beverage. Repair your gut and power up your immune system risk-free and save 10% off. Go to shrnetwork.biz/leaky gut. Don't delay. Fix your gut today. TaylorMade Health is focused on making sure you're able to perform and look your best. They are a leader in game-changing supplements and cosmetic products. Whether you want to increase strength, expedite recovery, facilitate soft tissue repair, or reduce deep wrinkles, TaylorMade Health has you covered. TaylorMade Health is also the home to Dr. Seed's products such as BPC, BPC Plus, and the Chill Pill. All of my listeners can now get 20% off their first order with code TRY20. That's TRY20. This code can even be used on subscription orders. Visit shrnetwork.biz/try20 today and use code TRY20 for 20% off your first order. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ads today. Every day, there's a new wellness trend. Eat that, do this, avoid those. How do you know where to start or who to trust? Inside Tracker helps you cut through the noise by analyzing your blood, your DNA, your lifestyle, and your fitness tracker to provide you with a science-backed, trackable action plan on how to live, age, and perform better. Personalized, one-size-fits-one recommendations to help you optimize you. For a limited time, Inside Tracker is offering Superhuman Radio listeners 25% off the entire store. Go to shrnetwork.biz/inside tracker, INSIDETRACKER, to save 25% off. Change begins on the inside. Survivor. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So I want to repeat what is possibly the most valuable piece of information that was discussed today and was offered by Wade. And it never dawned on me. You know, I've been saying for a long time on the show that government believes that we are too stupid to care for ourselves, to make logical and important decisions for ourselves. So they feel like they have to do it for us and tell us what to do. But I never really thought about it. Modern medicine thinks that too. Modern medicine thinks we are unteachable, that we are stupid, that we are incapable of change. And that's why there's a lot of good doctors out there. I'm not talking about all doctors, but this is why doctors become incensed when you walk in with a study off of the web and say, what about this, doc? And they just become annoyed. They don't even want to look at you. They don't want to look at it. They take it, they go, I'll read it later. Meanwhile, take your medicine and get out of here. And that's because doctors have been taught through the medical school indoctrination process, which is owned by Big Pharma. Big Pharma builds those labs, donates all the money, and influences doctors before they even get out of school. And they have been taught that you are too stupid to figure things out, that you are unteachable, so don't even bother, and that you couldn't make the best decisions on your own if you were allowed to. This is why they act the way they do. This is why medicine is set up the way it is. Because if it wasn't that way, doctors would have conversations with you. Well, you know, we could start giving you metformin, but let me get you to a personal trainer and let me get you to a good nutritionist, not somebody who's going to have you eating a bunch of carbs. Let's see if we can't get you to lose some weight. Look, doctors talk about patient compliance when they prescribe drugs and they go, well, he's not taking his drug. That's what they think patient compliance is. They think, well, if he won't take his drugs, he's not going to walk a mile a day. He's not going to do anything. So to the doctors, you and I, we are unsalvageable, unteachable. But this is why you need to arm yourself, because doctors don't have the answers. They don't. That is probably the most important message to get from today's show that should change the way you look at your physician. He thinks you're stupid. And wait, the only thing different between you and your doctor are the books he's read. Think about that. If you were exposed to the same books, the same opportunity to learn, you would know. There's proof of that. There's so many people who aren't doctors who immerse themselves in a specific disease and they understand it better than the doctor.
Correct.
Okay, let's get to some questions here. We have a couple questions. Robert Thompson, who is an avid viewer and listener of the show, wants to know what your thoughts are about colostrum.
Great question. There's a considerable amount of people who swear by colostrum. And, you know, it's interesting because, you know, we actually put colostrum in the carnivore version of the
Really?
Yeah, there's colostrum, and we do in the chocolate version we got colostrum, we've got bone broth and things like this. And there's a lot of people that say that's an advocate. And I'm going to share something with viewers that people might be shocked. Our research, where we've added bone broth and colostrum to the formula. So I'm going to get into specifics of things without into a debate. We tested the efficacy of that formula with PhDs in the microbiome. We saw no difference between the ones using colostrum and beef broth as the same as just the IG Max in the formula. There was zero difference. And we're using the best stuff that you can get. We're using all this stuff. That's not to say that colostrum doesn't work for some people. What the problem, I think, that with any research and any study, there's two fundamental problems. Number one, we are not testing for genetic and epigenetical differences. Number one. Number two, we're not able to determine the state of the health of that person at that given time and what product might be applicable at that moment to that particular person. So all research is already built in with those biases right off the bat that's not being acclimatized to. And so I think that if you can find ways to activate colostrum or the production of it in your life, I think that's better. And I have been doing some research, interesting enough, with developing probiotics using mother's milk. Most probiotics aren't doing this, and we are seeing differences in the response rates of the bacteria. We'll be releasing more information later this year because it's not conclusive yet. When we talk about things, when I talk about a product and I talk about something on your show, this is because we have conclusive evidence that it works. That's what that's our policy. But I'm just leading in full transparency of where we are in that conversation right now. So
Bear says, I'm on my second bottle of Leaky Gut Guardian. Wish I found this sooner. So there you go. Unsolicited.
It makes my day when I hear that.
Unsolicited. And last question from Robert Thompson. He was prescribed acidophilus as a probiotic. Is it any good? And are there any risks and benefits? I have an opinion of this too, but I'll let you go first.
Well, there's no, I guess there's a risk with everything in life. The risk is it doesn't work. That's the number one risk. Your chance of getting a dysfunction from an acidophilus, probably not high. So I always say, if you try a probiotic of any type, doesn't matter the type, if you see an improvement in whatever you were taking it for, better immune system, better digestion, better gut health, whatever that happens to be, then it's good. And if it doesn't, it's not good for you. Move on and try the next one. There's hundreds of strains of bacteria cultures, some of which are very relevant for large parts of the population and some which are not relevant to the population. And Acidophilus, I call is a middle of the road probiotic as far as the efficacy.
It's also the one that is most associated with brain fog from D-lactic acidosis. So people, probiotics are real. They really do things. And like real things that work, they work and help some people. But just like real things that work, if you take a lot of it, it may not help you because it works. I guess it's an awkward way for me to say that. We can actually track the Google searches. We did this on a show a couple years ago.
Oh, cool.
Google searches for SIBO, small intestinal. We looked at SIBO and small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And the Google searches for probiotics, just probiotic. Like somebody, I want to get a probiotic. I've been told I need a probiotic. I'm going to start taking probiotics. By the way, I am one of these a-holes, and I'll tell you my story. So I thought that if some probiotics are good, more is better. So I started taking 2 packets of oh God, what's the name of it now? Oh, it's an acronym, something 3. It'll come to me, but it's a by prescription given to people with ulcerative colitis,
right?
And VSL number 3,
right?
VSL number 3. It's 8 different non-competing probiotics. Yep. The over-the-counter version is 450 billion CFUs, but the by prescription is 900 billion CFUs. So I thought, well, 2 packets. I'm just going to take the prescription version of it. And I took that. At the same time, I introduced a lot of fiber into my diet because of fiber protein bars and fiber this and fiber that. I gave myself SIBO, and then I had to take Xifaxan for a month at 500 milligrams twice a day to get rid of it. I was waking up with brain fog. I felt like I couldn't function before 2:00. I felt horrible. I was always bloated. I gave myself SIBO. I didn't get SIBO. I actively took steps to give myself SIBO. Now, the reason I say this is because Lactobacillus acidophilus is the number one culprit for SIBO. Why? Because it's in everything. They put it in everything. Now it contains Lactobacillus acidophilus. People are getting way too much of it now, and it's ending up in places it shouldn't be. So, I would just tell you that don't take a lot of it. That's all I'm going to say.
There's another strategy that a lot of health advocates do, and that is cycling probiotics. So for example, we make 3 different probiotic formulations. There are those which are implant strains, which this particular product you're referring to is a colonizing strain that can actually grow. Then there's strains like we have in the P3 and the L. plantarum, which actually is not. It's a transient strain. It's designed to wipe out bad guys, and that's it, and not take hold. Then you have probiotics, for example, like in the cognibiotics, which are developed for neurotransmitter formulation. So we are moving into an age, because of the variance in microbiomes, there's hundreds of different strains, and your diet and your genetics and your ancestors are going to determine that you may need to pick specific probiotics relative to your diet and to your life. So my business partner is a keto guy. I'm a plant guy. We have completely different microbiomes.
Right.
But we've selected the products that we use, and the ones that we advocate are relative universally applicable to the 3 main, what I call the 3 horsemen of the dietary tribalism: paleo, keto, and plant-based. And they have their versions. You could go carnivore, you could go raw food, you could eat only, like berries and elk, like you can go extreme within those three kind of philosophical ideas. But the one common element they all have, all of them, eat natural foods from organic sources, avoid the chemicals, preservatives, dyes, the poly what the heckalates, okay, and eat clean and live a lifestyle that is more in alignment with that of our ancestors. That's ubiquitous. And I think there's strengths to different diets and weaknesses to each one. And you can accommodate the weaknesses in any diet through nutritional supplementation, intelligent use of our brains to cultivate and offset the weaknesses. There's weaknesses in the plant-based diet that I have to account for. I'm willing to admit and share that with people. I just prefer this diet, but I also am intelligent enough to address the things that this diet doesn't provide for me.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the difference. That's the difference between a robust vegan and one who is pale, pasty, and looks like they're dying, because they adhere to just the vegan diet. They're not taking B12. They're not doing other things that they are not getting in their diet. And it's really starvation. It's a form of starvation. If you're not getting the nutrition from your diet, it's the same thing as just not eating.
Correct.
I want to put this up one more time. Leaky Gut Guardian. It is available at shrnetwork.biz/leaky-gut. Do be like Bear. Bear said he's on his 2nd bottle of Leaky Gut Guardian. He wishes he found it sooner. Give it a try. Save 10% by using SHR10. And you always have the money-back guarantee of the folks over at Bioptimizers to let you know that they want it to work for you, and they're willing to put some flesh in the game so that you can find out. Wade, thanks for being here today, brother.
Always a pleasure, Carl.
And thank you for all the support on the show. And thank you for my supplements that you send me that I use all the time. I couldn't live without Massime. I really couldn't.
Thanks so much. It's our pleasure. Just keep the fight going. That's what I say. Keep the truth flowing and the fight going.
And today is Friday, so I'll see everybody Monday. Have a safe weekend. It's 60 degrees out. I'm riding my motorcycle this afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. See everybody Monday. Have a good weekend and take care.